Indiana Pacers and the New York Knicks. Mike Walshevsky is standing by.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Madison Square Garden, the world's most famous arena. Today's game is the Indiana Pacers and the New York Knicks. Here are today's starting lineups. First for Indiana, at guard at 6 feet 2 inches tall from Baylor, number 4, Michael Williams. At guard at 6'7" from UCLA, number 31, Reggie Miller. At forward at 6'11" from Clemson, number 32, Dale Davis. At forward at 6'8" from Auburn, number 45, Chuck Person. And at center at 7'4" from Marist, number 24, Rick Smits. The trainer is David Craig. Assistant coaches Billy Knight and Bob Osipka. And the head coach, Bob Hill. And now, please welcome your New York Knicks. At guard at 6'2" from UNLV, number 2, Greg Anthony. At guard at 6'6" from Tennessee Chattanooga, number 21, Gerald Wilkins. At forward at 6'8" from Wichita State, number 32, Xavier McDaniel. At forward at 6'9" from Virginia Union, number 34, Charles Oakley. And at center at 7 feet from Georgetown, number 33, Patrick Ewing. The assistant trainer is Tim Walsh. The head trainer is Mike Saunders. The assistant coaches are Dick Harder, Paul Silas, and Jeff Van Gundy. And the head coach for the Knicks, Pat Riley.
Well, after the very realistic appraisal of the Knicks' defeat here on Thursday, Pat Riley did not look at videotapes, but they practiced quite vigorously in preparation for the Indiana Pacers, who have really struggled on the road at 2-11, recording a 10-5 mark at Market Square. One of those 10 victims, of course, the Knicks. 3-point losers in a last-second game back in November.
Al, Greg Anthony filling in for Mark Jackson, as we mentioned. Mark's wife about to give birth. But the Knicks under duress when Ewing went out after 10 minutes of play in Indiana rose to the occasion. Al, I thought that was one of the Knicks' best moments of the season, despite the fact that it became a loss. The Knicks came together as a team, and I think they grew as a team, actually, in that loss. They played a tremendous game without Patrick's presence.
Here are the matchups. Greg Anthony, the difficult task of guarding Michael Williams, and of course Chuck Person provides bulk inside, and we're seeing the new and improved Rick Smits, Hugh Hollins, Wally Rooney, and Ted Bernhardt. Whistles in hand for this afternoon's tip-off at the Garden. Controlled by the Knicks, Gerald Wilkins. The Garden will be a busy basketball palace today. The final of the ECAC Holiday Festival tonight.
And Charles Oakley lights things up to begin the Knicks' offensive effort.
Chuck Person picked up way outside by Xavier McDaniel. Gerald Wilkins, not an easy job guarding Reggie Miller on the afternoon. Person bombs away. Wilkins knew he couldn't get the rebound, so he tipped it, and Greg Anthony received it.
One of the Pacers' areas of concentration is their defense. They don't feel their leadership, team leadership, they don't feel that the Pacers are playing defense well enough.
Now, early on, John, we want to keep an eye on this Xavier McDaniel-Chuck Person matchup. Xavier spent a lot of time slapping Person's hand away and then took the challenge and got the foul. First foul on Chuck Person.
An example now of Xavier McDaniel's very fluid fakes and how well he executes those to get himself free.
McDaniel on the miss. He had a 3-for-11 night against San Antonio. Just underway first quarter at MSG. Here's Michael Williams, 18 assists in the previous meeting this year. Pacers have taken the Knicks for 2 in a row, but have failed here at Madison Square Garden, winning 9 of their last 38 attempts.
Nice play by Oakley, double teaming.
Steal by Greg Anthony. Knicks.
As I was saying, Oakley did a nice job helping out on Michael Williams and then getting back quickly to his man so that the Knicks weren't exploited by his double teaming, which can often happen.
Bob Hill calls a 20-second timeout, and this is exactly the way the Knicks would have wanted this game to get started.
Yes, they're alert defensively, and of course, Greg Anthony is so good at putting defensive pressure out on top.
So it is 2 points for McDaniel, 2 for Oakley, 2 for Anthony, 6-0 Knicks. We've played but a minute 14, and already we've had a timeout.
And the Knicks are perfect from the field, and Pat Riley's got to be delighted about that so far.
Bob Hill took over the Knicks head coaching job 16 games into the 86-87 season, then went on to the CBA. He's been coaching in Italy, and he seems to have found a home in Indiana.
Yes, the team has responded to him very well.
Sort of makes, maybe there should be a song, Back Home Again in Indiana. Oh, I guess there already is one. Out of bounds, it'll be Nick Ball. Xavier McDaniel standing in front of the Knick bench, out for Greg Anthony. Ewing, the turnaround over Rick Smith.
Patrick will not face the defensive presence that he did the other night in David Robinson. Smits is certainly a very tall guy. Smits going at 7'4", but he doesn't have the quickness of David Robinson, who had his problems last night in Cleveland.
Wow, did he? 31 points for Brad Daugherty, 14 for David Robinson.
So it's not perfect every night.
Illegal defense charge against the Knicks. It was Charles Oakley who stepped away from the rookie Dale Davis, and he was caught in between defensive assignments. So 10-11 to go. Knicks with the 8-0 lead. Michael Williams uses the Chuck Person pick. Almost got tangled. The Knicks reacted well defensively, but Chuck Person banks it in.
The pick and roll worked very nicely. It was staggered a bit, but Williams found Person on that pick and roll, with Person ending up with the shorter player. And how about the hands of Reggie Miller pulling that pass out of the air?
It almost looked like a pass to Reggie Miller from Gerald Wilkins. Rick Smith's way outside. Ewing there with him. Michael Williams rolls it in.
That's the shot that coaches love their players to develop, the jump shot from the dribble.
Ewing posting low and turning on Smits. He's got the hot hand here. 2 for 2, Patrick Ewing. Wally Rooney blows the whistle outside. John, how much of an underachieving team is this Pacers squad, or do you think I'm wrong in saying that? I mean, they seem at the positions out there on the floor right now to have a lot of talent.
They do, and Bob Hill is trying to get it all together. Their flaw thus far, they feel, is defense. They score a lot. They score. They're second leading team in the NBA from the scoring department, but they at 111 a game. But they allow 1 point less every game, so they're allowing too much.
Oh, they're all falling for the Knicks here. 12-4. Oakley now with 4 points and 2 from the outside. And another timeout for Indiana, called by Bob Hill. Pacers down early by 8. What a difference a day makes for the Knicks. Back in a moment. Well, John, offense, as we've said, is not the problem for Indiana's Pacers.
Yes, they're number 2 in the league in that department, behind Golden State. But the defensive end is where they suffer. Knicks only allow 98.6 a game, right behind the Spurs. Pacers are way down in that department. They're allowing 112.
8:49 to go in the opening quarter. Al Troutwig in for Marv Albert. As the Knicks have been perfect from the floor, 6 for 6. McDaniel way outside on Chuck Person. Good job by X-Man, forcing him to take a bad shot. Oakley with a one-handed rebound, out for Greg Anthony. Knicks on the run.
That's an example of lack of patience by an offensive player. Person should be beyond that stage.
McDaniel slaps away the holding hand of Person, and they call a blocking foul. It'll be foul number 2 on Chuck Person of Indiana.
Quite a lift going on, it appears, between McDaniel and Person.
Knicks 11-1, of course, here at Madison Square Garden. Now with Cleveland being 13-1 at home, that is not the best record in the NBA at home any longer. Oakley, great save out to Anthony. Sees the lane clogged, out for Ewing. First Knick miss. Michael Williams goes flying, so does Xavier McDaniel, both up and okay. Person from Miller, fouled on the approach. May have hurt his right hand.
Patrick Ewing appears to be staying with the jump shot as he did the other night against David Robinson.
Well, the other night, in as many minutes as he played, Patrick Ewing took 2 free throws. And for 37 minutes of play, David Robinson only had 2 fouls.
But David Robinson today is not thinking about the Garden visit. He's thinking about the Cleveland Cavaliers and why was I so ineffective? It's amazing.
Yeah.
The NBA is relentless in its demands.
Well, that's a tough one to go from the arena that had the best home record, the Knicks, to go to the one that now has it in Cleveland's Richfield Coliseum. You're looking at the NBA free throw champion of a year ago, Reggie Miller, 91.8%. At what point he hit 52 consecutive last season for Indiana. 12-6, Pacers within a half dozen.
He's at 88% this year.
Defensive switch. Dale Davis jumps on Gerald Wilkins. That left Oakley wide open underneath. Ewing saw him, but by then it was too late, and the middle was clogged. Wilkins on the run. Followed by Oakley. McDaniel, the fake. It drops, and the foul. Wait a minute. Wally Rooney is saying he has waved off the hoop. Offensive basket interference. They're saying Oakley may have tipped that, followed by McDaniel. And the officials are holding a little conference.
Well, we see in the replay that could be the call, as Oakley was up there. Wally Rooney, who made the call, had a much better angle. Take another look at it now. Can't touch that ball when it's around the rim.
Oh, it's tough to tell.
Tough to tell if he did, but his hand was certainly in the vicinity.
It certainly didn't look at the time like that ball was going to fall. I'll say that. And Riley is not happy. Either way, McDaniel's going to go for the line. He was fouled on the attempt, and he will get 2. Say one thing about Wally Rooney. He was definite about the call.
Very important for an official to sell his call so that the players and the coaching staffs of both teams are convinced by him that he has made the right call because he had the best angle and has the best judgment.
Chuck Person called on the foul. Now Bob Hill's not happy about that, so we have a call where both coaches don't like it.
Officials are conferring as there apparently is confusion among them.
As a result of Chuck Person's 3rd foul, Bob Hill has made a substitution. The man standing next to him is George McLeod. He is in for Person. Oh, wait a minute. Now McLeod's going back to the bench. Now they've changed the foul. They've given it to Rick Smits, so Person can stay in.
Well, the most positive sign for the Knicks right now is that Xavier McDaniel is in this game. There are too many periods in the past when he has been quiet, but he has come out today strong on defense and on offense.
It's a second miss for Xavier McDaniel from the free throw line. 1 for 3. Knicks by 7, 13-6. Dale Davis way off. Got Oakley in the air but couldn't complete it. Anthony getting the start today for the Knicks with Mark Jackson and his wife at Lenox Hill Hospital awaiting the birth of their child. Greg Anthony picked up, and a big mismatch it was, as it was Dale Davis. Ewing from way outside. He is short. Seemed to be off balance.
Too much jump shooting from Patrick. Although at that moment when he got the ball, he had to shoot it. There was no time left.
Reggie Miller using the Chuck Person pick. Wilkins and McDaniel switch.
This is a going nowhere offense.
3 on the 24. It winds up with a 3-point attempt. Patrick Ewing has the ball go off his thigh, and it is Pacer ball. Oh, that was like a stall out there for Indiana. They were waiting for something to happen, yet no one was moving to make anything happen.
Wonderful for the defense when one man dribbles the ball. Everyone's resting on defense while that's happening.
The fans very much in tune with the Detlef Schrempf Patrick Ewing fight. Reggie Miller delivers a beauty on the drive. They boo the arrival of Detlef Schrempf, the NBA's best sixth man of a year ago. Wilkins for Anthony. McDaniel wide open.
Well, the fans remember Schrempf's fight with Ewing in Indiana, and that's why they're booing.
.6:05 to go, 13-8. Rick Smith. Ewing may have gotten a piece of it. Smith stalled the Knicks for a moment, but Oakley and Anthony recover the loose ball. McDaniel double teamed. It is Wilkins left open. It's a 2-point attempt and short and out of bounds.
Double teaming worked for the Pacers as Oakley and Schrempf look like they're talking a little bit too much.
Yeah. Little rubbing of elbows, few words exchanged between Schrempf and Charles Oakley. Schrempf on the run and fouled by, is it Patrick Ewing trying to help out? It is. Patrick Ewing is first.
Patrick mystified by that call.
13th foul on the Knicks, so Indiana inbounds. Person. Very good defense being played by the Knicks. 12 on the 24. Chuck Person wheels inside. Another bad shot from him. Knicks on the run. Anthony scans the floor. Sees nothing as the Pacers get back. Well, you saw what the Knicks have done in their shooting since the 6-for-6 start. That string is now broken as they increase their lead to 15-8. Reggie Miller wide open. Gerald Wilkins tried to recover, affected the shot, but got the foul. John Starks replaces Xavier McDaniel. Well-balanced scoring for the Knicks so far, John. 3 points, Xavier McDaniel, 4 for Oakley, 4 for Ewing, 4 for Anthony.
That's what Pat Riley likes to see, balance on the offense.
In 1990, when Reggie Miller became an NBA All-Star, he became the first Indiana Pacer All-Star in 13 years. Vern Fleming checks in for Indiana. Michael Williams will sit. That's just an indication of the long frustration this franchise has had since they came into the NBA from the ABA, where they were one of the league's best teams.
Reggie Miller, you would think, would be one player that will spend his entire career with this franchise. He's that good a player.
15-10, Indiana within 5. Ewing. He's been all outside in the game so far. Illegal defense. It is the first warning, so both teams have been so warned. The next infraction for either team would result in a technical foul. Fresh 24 for the Knicks. 10 on the 24. Anthony with a beautiful scoop. Took a shot in the mouth and the foul.
That's some spectacular move by Greg Anthony. Nice look off by Ewing to Greg, who goes left, pulls it up a little, then turns it on as he reversed by Smits, who was out of position. Smits should have stayed around the basket with his hands up. That's where he would have been most effective. Instead, he tried to come out and guard Anthony. No way.
Anthony misses the back end of the three-point play. Out comes Indiana's Vern Fleming for Schrempf. Stutter step, fooled himself.
Oakley really massaging Smits down low. I mean, banging him around.
Person slides in the turnaround. He is now 2 for 6 from the floor. He has had to work extremely hard for every shot he has taken.
Knicks going with the 3-guard offense now with Starks out there.
Starks, Wilkins, and Anthony with Oakley and Ewing. Wilkins tried to work the one-on-one. He got Reggie Miller's calf on his shoulder. Not an easy thing to do.
The Knicks were trying to clear out for Gerald to work on the taller Person. Person did a nice job discouraging the drive by Gerald. And then just in case, Miller came over and double-teamed Gerald.
Chuck Person will take a rest. George McLeod into the game for Indiana. Gerald Wilkins misses the free throw. The Knicks' free throw shooting has been awful. 1 for 5. Wilkins, the only member of the starting 5 who has not scored. Oh, my. Something about the Pacers. The Knicks, when the Pacers beat him back in November, went 17 of 28 from the line. Smits on the follow. Wally Rooney says loose ball foul. Rick Smits is called on the foul. That is his 3rd.
And that's a common situation for the Pacers to face. Smits gets in foul trouble early. On that missed shot, Smits comes down on the follow. The official saw a foul, Al, that was somewhat mysterious in the replay. Apparently he pushed off on his way up to get that rebound.
Finally, the Knicks make the free throw. It's Greg Anthony as the Knicks send in Brian Quinnett. As we've discussed the last 2 games, Kiki Vandeweghe is going to, I think, have to be satisfied with his 4 or 5 minutes and very spotty duty. And the Knicks, at least for now, are going to go with Brian Quinnett, who, at least from three-point land, has been very consistent. 8 of 16 on the year. That's 50%. Doing what the Knicks drafted him to do.
Well, Quinnett in 17 minutes the other night against San Antonio was a bright spot. 13 points.
Here we go. Off the bench, the cold hand becomes the hot hand. 21-12, Knicks by 9. George McLeod for Vern Fleming. And what did he step out of bounds? Stepped out of bounds, and there's a look at Kiki Vandeweghe, who has renegotiated his contract. He will become now an unrestricted free agent at the end of this season, as opposed to playing out a contract that was supposed to go beyond next season. That for the guarantee that the Knicks would not put him on waivers. He'll play out the year here. This is how it looked November 13th. Detlef Schrempf and Patrick Ewing. Both players ejected and fined. Bob Hill with the hammer lock on Schrempf. And the fans reacted accordingly when Schrempf was brought into the game off the bench by Bob Hill. As the game progresses, we will show you that that is only one of a trio of fights that Patrick Ewing has not enjoyed in the times that he has played the Pacers. Others with Greg Dreiling still with the team, and Steve Stepanovich, who is not. Ewing continues to look for the outside jumper and hits it. Ewing with 6 points. Knicks by 11.
Well, with LaSalle Thompson in there now at center, you would think Patrick will go down low a bit.
This will be a foul on John Starks on the driving Reggie Miller.
That's an example of what Donnie Walsh, their general manager, was telling me before the game, how Miller's been pounded by opponents on defense lately, and Pacers are trying to figure out ways to get him freer. And the only way that will happen is if he gets some picks, where the defensive man like Starks, who is playing him so tightly, would face obstacles as Miller moves around the court.
Hits the first. Very durable player, Miller. This is his 205th straight start.
He's a great competitor. He plays very hard all the time.
Perfect from the free throw line. He's had many chances. 6 for 6. John Starks draws a trio of Pacers around the floor with him and then knocks it in. McLeod running with Quinnett. What a reverse by Vern Fleming. Doesn't go, and Oakley's there for the rebound. Ewing the scoop, off balance, and a very difficult shot. Ewing goes flying into the photographers. Looks to be all right. That's a tough pass and a tough spot to get it by Greg Anthony. Ewing gets up the floor with the rejection. Quinnett, slap pass for Anthony.
Can't do it any prettier than that.
27-14. Brian Quinnett very much in the flow off the bench. Who knows how what has to be viewed as a tremendous vote of confidence in the Kiki Vandeweghe contract situation will affect Brian Quinnett. Reggie Miller for 2. His foot was on the line. Knicks still by 11.
Ewing going to his comfortable position down low. Sees the wide open Quinnett.
Wide open, just off. He's 1 for 2 from 3-point territory. Detlef Schrempf for LaSalle Thompson. And the 10-year veteran knocks it in 27-18 with 56.5 to go in the first quarter.
LaSalle Thompson had knee surgery a week before the season began, and it's been a long recovery for him, but he's been playing right along. He did make a remarkable recovery, enough that he could play.
It's interesting to note, John, he has had surgery and doesn't wear any sort of a brace or protection on his knees at all. Brian Quinnett, a running jump hook.
Quinnett, most known for his jump shooting, surprised Indiana.
LaSalle Thompson lumbers down the lane, throws up one that's off, and Quinnett at the other end pulls down the rebound. Anthony with Starks. Right in. 31-18. Knicks finishing out the quarter with a flurry.
Starks all over Miller. In fact, he's annoying him.
Yeah, he's slapping his waist. Miller's got sort of a scowl look on his face. Tries to use the Schrempf pick now as double team. Quick reaction by the Knicks defense. Brian Quinnett rejects the shot of Schrempf. Up the floor for Starks, but it'll be too late. Well,
Patrick Ewing recognizing the fine play of Quinnett and Oakley.
The fans are standing. What loss to San Antonio?
Real winner knows how to party right. Please use good sense when you drink and know when to say when. A reminder from Budweiser.
Well, Mark Jackson's not here. He and his wife are at Lenox Hill Hospital expecting the birth of a child. Greg Anthony has come on and played well. So has Brian Quinnett. So has John Starks. You could say then with Anthony getting the start today that it's been the bench that has really delivered for the Knicks today in all respects.
Yes, and that's the pattern this season. Quinnett also, beside the jump shooting, threw in a beautiful driving hook shot also.
Quinnett with the three-pointer. That drive for 5 points. John Starks with 4. Greg Anthony 9.6 assists. And the second quarter starts with Michael Williams on the layup.
Yes, he broke down the Knicks defense. That's the quality that the Spurs brought to the Garden the other night as well.
How about this lineup put out by Pat Riley? Oakley, Mason, Quinnett, Anthony, and Starks. Brian Quinnett fouled on the drive. Bob Hill going with the small lineup, and Pat Riley responding in kind.
The more options a player has on offense, the more effective and tougher he is to guard. Quinnett is introducing the drive to his game today more quickly than any time I've seen him in the past.
Brian hits the first. Quinnett deserves an awful lot of credit. He has been one of the most exact, active players, rather, in the Knicks holiday spirit, community relations, visiting kids in hospitals, and here at the Garden, distributing sneakers last week. He really gave a lot of time in that effort. Knicks on the intercept. I don't know who that pass was intended for. Starks fires for Mason. Starks motioning for Anthony, and Pat Riley's helping. Illegal defense. This will be the second call against Indiana. This will result then in a technical foul. A couple of dapper coaches on the sidelines today, that's for sure.
Yes, they're two of the league leaders in that department.
I can't believe what's happening on the Knicks free throw line today. They are now 4 for 11.
In Indiana, 61% from the foul line for the Knicks. And today they are bettering that, if you will.
Mason backing it on Tremp. Taking the shot the Knicks want to see him take. Oakley really went to the floor hard. What a flop.
Although Charles is used to hitting the floor hard.
Rick Smits is called for the foul that sent Oakley to the ground. Smits' fourth foul.
Smits boxing out. I have to say this, Al. Smits has gotten two mysterious calls. Very rough. At 7'4", he's a target. He's a visual target for the officials. But those are two calls that are very difficult for him to deal with.
Good job by Starks to get the ball back. Quinnett for three. Air ball. Vern Fleming. 33-22. Knicks by 11. 10:37 to go in the half.
I mean, there's a chance now Smits will be out of the game till the fourth quarter. Most coaches would do that. I think there were bad calls on him.
4 fouls sends Rick Smits to the bench. Mason tries again. This time looks for Quinnett. In tight quarters, the pass intercepted by Quinnett. Anthony followed by Quinnett, but slapped away by Person with help from Vern Fleming. And now Schrempf and Greg Anthony tangle up, and Greg Anthony is called for the technical foul. And now Schrempf and Anthony exchange words.
Unnecessary. Why compound the problem?
Well, that's two members of the Knicks that Detlef Schrempf has gone at it verbally with today. Oakley earlier, very mildly, and now Anthony, resulting in a technical foul. Wait a minute. Now they're saying it's a personal foul. It was definitely signaled a technical.
And Anthony going up for the shot, then he pulls Schrempf to the floor. Anthony was going down. It didn't appear that by grabbing Schrempf that would help him in any manner. That's kind of an annoying foul for Anthony to commit to the defensive player.
Oakley and Quinnett coming out, and Brian Quinnett receiving a nice hang. Quinnett leading 2 of 4. Perfect from the free throw line. 7 points, 2 rebounds. Now, they definitely signaled a technical foul at the moment of that infraction, then said it was a personal foul, and as a result, the Pacers got nothing. Patrick Ewing rejects Michael Williams in a big way.
But Williams, again, breaks the Knicks down defensively and flies in to draw that foul. The end of the move, Patrick Ewing was waiting for him.
Second foul on Patrick Ewing. Michael Williams hits the first. Member of the Pistons World Championship team in 1989. This is his 4th NBA team in 4 years. Started out property of Detroit. Went on to Phoenix, Charlotte, eventually signed with Indiana.
Detroit had a solid backcourt at the time. Even though he was there, it was difficult for Chuck Daly to integrate him. But I would have to think that Phoenix and Charlotte feel they made a mistake.
How about the Hornets? Could they use a player like him? 10 on the 24. Anthony fakes, then goes for it. Vern Fleming behind the back to get away from Anthony. Length of the floor, underhanded, falling away. The follow inside by Chuck Person.
Person doesn't do enough rebounding for this team, but when he does, he can be tough. And his quickness resulted in that hoop.
The Knicks shooting has cooled, so has their ball handling. Pacers making a move. They're within 7, make it 5. 33-28. The Knicks at one point enjoyed a 13-point lead. 8 straight points as Pat Riley a bit unnerved. So a timeout on the floor. 20-second timeout, and Pat Riley is a little bit more excited than we're used to seeing in the huddle.
Yes, Pat, very good, Al, seeing that, because Pat normally very calm in his message, but he is angry now. Greg Anthony and Xavier McDaniel seem to be the targets.
But you know what you see, John? You see Thursday night and you say, okay, it was an aberration. But there were bad habits in that game. You go back to the game before, the second half against Minnesota, there were some bad habits there. Now you put bad habits in the first half of this game and you say, well, maybe Thursday wasn't an aberration. Maybe it was the beginning of a streak. And Pat Riley looks back on that loss in Indiana, which began a streak of bad things for the Knicks, and says, okay, let's stop it right here. Let's not let this develop into a streak of bad habits.
So much of this game is mental. That was the problem against San Antonio. The effort seems to be here today, but they're sliding in their concentration and execution the last few minutes.
John Starks. He is off.
I think the Knicks have got to pour the ball inside to Ewing. LaSalle Thompson cannot bother Ewing.
Michael Williams. The Knicks get cold. The Pacers get hot. It is a 3-point Knick lead. Starks. McDaniel is wide open. And finally, after 10 straight Indiana points, the Knicks get 2 back. 35-30. Michael Williams out for Vern Fleming.
Look at Anthony fight over that shrimp pick.
Shrimp.
Bad shot selection.
Anthony with the rebound. Knicks made their first 6 shots. Since then, they have definitely cooled. 9 for 21. Tight quarters. Anthony Mason literally slapped it into the hoop.
Mason had a huge game in Indiana when Ewing went out with the fouls. 15 points, 9 rebounds.
LaSalle Thompson. Patrick Ewing on the rebound. Once again, Ewing way outside. McDaniel. He's at 2 in a row. Shrimp on the run. He meets Mason and is hit hard. Well, it's tough to figure, John. You've got LaSalle Thompson on Patrick Ewing, and all we're seeing really is outside setups for him, not setting up down low.
Well, that's not maximizing his potential impact against the Pacers.
John Starks is going to stay in the game. I thought for a moment it was going to be Wilkins for Starks. It is not. It is Wilkins for Greg Anthony.
The Knicks will be missing Mark Jackson today with his wife imminently giving birth. Mark had a very fine game against Indiana. That was one of the games when there was a dramatic indication that Mark Jackson was the Mark Jackson of a couple of years ago. 21 points, 8 assists, and really played tough defense.
Pacers perfect from the line, 10 for 10. Knicks trying to create something on the transition. Got to work a little extra for it, but McDaniel has hit 3 quick hoops now. The Knicks up again by 9.
Well, Xavier could give a clinic on faking and still keeping your balance and concentration.
Shrimp from 15, 41-34. Pacers being led by Reggie Miller with 10. Michael Williams with 10. Knicks being led by Greg Anthony's 9 and Brian Quinnett's 7. McDaniel's 9 as well. He gets the rebound, tries to make it 11, and does.
Patrick tried not to commit the foul. He recognized it was unnecessary. That distance from the basket.
Third foul on Patrick Ewing. Back to the Garden in a moment.
Well, this is a significant New York telephone call to the bench. This call to the bench is brought to you from the New York Telephone Regional Calling Area. It's bigger than you think. Knicks getting help early in the game. They weren't happy about things. Pat Riley particularly wasn't happy about performances, but when he went to the bench, he got good play, particularly by Brian Quinnett, who's leading with 7 of the Knicks' 13 from the bench.
Well, you know, it's no fun coaching 4-hour practices either, is it?
I'm sure.
43-34, Knicks in front. Michael Williams. Chuck Person, beautiful spin move, and he is met by Oakley underneath the basket in a big way.
Chuck Person is a very, very strong person, and he wanted to show his reaction to that crushing by bouncing up quickly.
Did you just say that? He's a very strong person?
Very good, Al.
No, very good for you.
I didn't actually think of that. I remember a couple of years ago reading and hearing about how much he could bench press, and the numbers kind of blew my mind. He's well over the 300 mark, and got into that at Auburn. Unlike Charles the Round Mound, or what formerly was the Round Mound.
That's right.
Charles Barkley, he's not into weightlifting. He's just plain strong.
Knicks throw the ball away. Chuck Person has fond memories of the Garden. His rookie year, came to the Garden and put up a triple-double for Indiana. Knicks on the bad-looking turnover. Handed over to Indiana. As a matter of fact, John, if you look at his numbers, you find another interesting trend, don't you?
Yes, rebounds, assists, as well as points, career highs for Chuck Person against the Knicks.
Michael Williams with a friendly bounce. So far, Chuck Person not doing a devastating job today. 3 of 7, 8 points, 1 rebound.
Mainly due to Xavier McDaniel. He is keeping him busy.
10 on the 24. Starks around the perimeter for Gerald Wilkins. So far, not a factor on offense. On the miss for the scoop. 7th rebound for Detlef Schrempf. Reggie Miller. That's a shot he can make in his sleep all day. That time it was off. There's another chance for Gerald Wilkins. Knicks have seen a 13-point lead become 5. And now a little breathing room for Gerald Wilkins. Wilkins now the last of the starters to put up points. He has 2.
Gerald staying with the shot, even though his confidence had to be shaken a bit.
Person, that was an impossible pass. An impossible pass for Detlef Schrempf. Person went with it. And now the officials are trying to decide who it's going to be. LaSalle Thompson back into the game for Detlef Schrempf, who gave the Pacers a lift off the boards, but not very much on the scoreboard. They've given the ball to the Knicks. It's been a rough first half for the officials, John. Starks for Wilkins. McDaniel got a pretty hot hand in the second quarter. Tangled up in the corner. Finds Oakley. Oakley on the drive. A rare move for Charles Oakley. A whistle underneath. Bodies everywhere. LaSalle Thompson called on the foul. While we have a moment, let's tease your interest on the festivities of our halftime report. Prominently featured will be John's recollections of 1991. How many did you narrow it down to, John?
We narrowed it down with difficulty to 10. 10 key moments in the NBA action of 1991, Al. Stay tuned.
What would have been the 11? What was the story on the cusp?
Let's see.
Greg Dreiling.
Greg Dreiling
Performance with Indiana,
he'd be considered.
Dreiling in the game right now for Indiana. Starks gets open, hits from 3.
I think the 11th would be what John Starks did this summer, because he is a different player from last year.
Starks and Quinnett 7 points apiece, 14 points off the bench for the Knicks. Good team rebound by New York. McDaniel bounces it over for Starks. All alone is Oakley. And it's hammer time as he goes up for the layup.
Nice look by Starks, seeing Charles alone.
Greg Dryling's been on the floor, John, what, 30 seconds? He's got 2 fouls. So all the big men for Indiana are adding up the fouls. You've got Rick Smits on the bench with 4, Greg Dryling with a quick 2. And Charles Oakley steps to the free throw line and hitting one.
Charles coming off a quiet game the other night against the Spurs. Only played 18 minutes in that one. Got 2 fouls early, and that's how it ended for him. 6 points, 4 rebounds. So he's in for a good workout today. The Knicks will be off till Thursday of next week.
And what a challenge they'll have that night. The Cleveland Cavaliers here at Madison Square Garden. Tight defense by the Knicks. And an offensive foul is charged to Indiana. They'll give the ball to New York with 4:08 to go and a 12-point lead.
Hugh Holland, the official, signifies person used the elbows and arms and shoulder, perhaps setting a pick.
We've got a timeout for Indiana. Bob Hill saw his team come back and now fall away again. This is almost too good to be true. The man with the glasses on and the white hair, the very elegant looking man, is Giorgio Armani, sitting directly across the man who has so frequently been associated with the name Armani, Pat Riley. And he's in the front row, John. He just opened a new store that did $250,000 in New York in 2 days.
One can presume they know each other.
I hope so. On we go through the first half. We're 3 minutes and 50 seconds away from halftime, and John Andres' 10 stories of the year. A whistle underneath. Pacers have to be a bit deflated. They really worked hard, got the shots working, got back at the Knicks to within 3 after trailing by 13, only to see the first half now moving down into its final stages and the Knicks enjoying a very comfortable lead again.
Both teams focusing on defense coming in today, but the Knicks are doing a better job, as they have been throughout the season.
You're not much of an Armani guy, are you, John?
No, I'm not. The long lines don't suit my physique, Al, as they do Pat. That's a little thinner guy and got into it early.
Oakley and Michael Williams push and shove for a moment.
Is that answer too serious?
No, that was frank. Tremp with some room. McDaniels played a great defensive first half. The scoop by Michael Williams. Another good team rebound by the Knicks. Swarming up the floor. McDaniel with the follow on the Wilkins miss. Xavier McDaniel in the quarter, 5 for 5, 10 points. And now Indiana can't find the basket. Mason pushes the Knicks up the floor. Oakley wide open on the fake. A turnover.
Charles tried to move off the dribble and it didn't work.
Reggie Miller bounces off John Starks. Hits the side of the backboard. And back and forth we go. Wilkins. Back goes Indiana. Starks quick to get back with Mason. Too late.
One thing about Gerald, he's not shooting the ball very well, but he continues to work. And that hard work is paying dividends.
Patrick Ewing with 3 fouls, getting some extended rest time here. And the Knicks are playing well without him. Interesting, John, without Ewing against the Pacers in the first meeting, the Knicks did so well without him.
Oh, McDaniel from the foul line continues the hot shooting.
McDaniel 7 for 8, 15 points. Tremp with the hook.
Some very ill-advised shot selection by the Pacers. Knicks keep going to the man who's burning the Pacers. Wise thing to do.
And a whistle stops play with 1:43 to go. Tonight on MSG, the conclusion of the ECAC Holiday Festival It will be St. John's against Memphis State at 9 o'clock here on MSG. Speaking of the ECAC Holiday Festival, there's a look at a former Fordham Ram, the 12th leading rebounder in Fordham history. And John, I must say, for the minutes of the game that I saw last night, Fordham, you know, this is
could have used me.
They could have used you.
I was here, Al. It was a disappointing effort. I felt bad for their coach, Nick McCarchick. The Red Men are tough, though.
It's sloppy.
It was 5-0 at one point, Al. Favorite Fordham.
You know, there's just so many Rams running around the Garden. There are so many positions of employment belong to ex-Rammers. It's a little sickening, actually. 57-42. Knicks by 15. They are closing out this first half impressively. Without Patrick Ewing, Xavier McDaniel answering the call. He is providing what Quinnett and Starks did in the first quarter. 14-4 this run. Starks falls and a la Curly almost in.
I don't think Pat Riley appreciated
He's
that.
smiling. Riley's smiling.
Yes.
And Schrempf goes back the other way on the reverse.
Say, if that went in, Al, we'd be seeing that one forever.
Yeah, that would be the play of the day. Anthony Mason out for Starks. Going for the more conventional shot and getting fouled in the process.
I would say John Starks is not afraid of contact. Starks moments ago almost entered the annals of Nick's great shots. But he didn't, because it didn't go in. But that's creativity.
Starks hits the first. A reminder that at halftime we'll have John's top 10 NBA stories of 1991, and then of course Walt Frazier will leave Jim Carvelis to join me for a discussion of scoring, highlights, and more. It's going to be an offensive foul. No, it will not be. Xavier McDaniel called on the foul. Greg Dreiling came very close to getting his fourth foul.
Well, it's always difficult giving the ball to a big man when he's too far from the basket, when he has to do a lot to get there. Dreiling almost did commit the offensive foul, which really would not have been his fault. It would have been the misjudgment of the passer.
The Pacers are perfect from the line, and they have had 15 chances. Last year, Greg Dreiling started 38 of the last 39 games. This year, he has been reduced to very spot duty.
Pacers have 3 key players shooting over 80%, which is why the team shoots 80%. Very good percentage from the line.
40 seconds to go in the half. Knicks by 12. Starks gets a Mason pick. They're almost able to work the mismatch. Starks steals the shot. It's off. Reggie Miller. Look inside. That was a difficult pass.
And a fine play by Anthony Mason.
What a shot by Wilkins, just off. A battle for the rebound is won by Dale Davis, the rookie. 8 seconds to go. 3 seconds. Miller. Really had a feeling that was going to fall. That's Reggie Miller's kind of shot. So at the end of the half, it's 58-46. Stay with us. We'll have John Andres' top 10 stories in the NBA for 91. Knicks by 12. Indiana Pacers 58-46. Still to come at halftime. We'll look at all the scorers and have highlights. But first, we're going to delve into John Andres' memory bank and pick out the top 10 NBA stories of 1991. No easy task. But John, before we show the ones that made the cut, tell us the ones that really didn't make it.
Well, it was tough, Al. There are always a lot of things that are outstanding. Some of them negative, actually. Sacramento's losing streak was a bad situation. That could have made it. But we didn't select it. Jersey had a lot of interesting news going on. Kenny Anderson draft, of course, which was intended to be big, and they're swimming around, and it's still 1991. But we let that one go too. I think we got the best 10.
All right, we hope so. Judge for yourself. We now begin the Andres Countdown, the top NBA stories of 1991. Take it away, John.
We begin our top 10 with the NBA's shift in power. The Pacific Division has become the NBA's most competitive. The fast start by the Golden State Warriors, the Lakers' fine play without Magic Johnson and Vlade Divac, and the improved play of the Clippers have resulted in new heights being reached in the Pacific, which currently houses 6 teams with records above the 500 mark. The Central Division is no longer the league's best. Number 9, the Detroit Pistons fall from grace. Their 2-year reign as NBA champions came to an unceremonious close when they were swept in the Eastern Conference Finals by the Chicago Bulls. An off-season overhaul in personnel has left Chuck Daly's club searching for an identity. At number 8, the Lakers battled their way into the NBA Finals. Mike Dunleavy's rookie season as NBA coach was a tremendous success. After Pat Riley said goodbye to the team of the 80s, the Lakers came back with a strong year. Led by Magic Johnson, the Lakers season was a success, despite losing their shot at a championship to the Chicago Bulls in 5 games. Hard work and dedication tell the story behind number 7. At the end of last season, it appeared that Larry Bird's storied career in Boston might be coming to an end. But his response to off-season back surgery has resulted in the return to greatness of one of the game's best players of all time. Mark Price is another who has come back from a career-threatening injury. Price returned from knee surgery 2 months ahead of schedule and has paced the Cavs to an excellent start. Cleveland cannot put a price tag on their point guard's value to the team. The most heartwarming comeback belonged to Bernard King. His unyielding will to return to all-pro form came to fruition last season when he was selected to the Eastern Conference All-Star squad. King underwent knee surgery once again in the offseason, but if anyone in the NBA can continue defying the odds, it is Bernard King. At number 6, June's NBA draft saw 3 teammates from UNLV drafted among the top 12 players. The big story here, though, is who was not chosen high enough. The Denver Nuggets used the 4th pick to draft Dikembe Mutombo after he was passed over by the Charlotte Hornets, the New Jersey Nets, and the Sacramento Kings. Mutombo has single-handedly turned Denver into a competitive franchise and is a virtual lock for Rookie of the Year honors. At 5th place, the Olympics open their doors to the NBA. The USA's 1992 Olympic basketball team will consist of the finest the NBA has to offer. While there has been some controversy surrounding the selection process, the biggest story here will emerge if Magic Johnson is able to follow through on his decision to participate in Barcelona. Number 4 concerns the trade that never happened. When Patrick Ewing lost his arbitration case for free agency, the Knicks were faced with the option of whether or not to make a blockbuster deal. Team president Dave Checketts remained in control through a difficult period, and the decision to keep Ewing, coupled with Patrick's determined play, has Knicks fans relieved that one of the NBA's biggest deals ever never took place. At number 3, Pat Riley's dazzling return to coaching. In taking over a mediocre New York Knicks team, Riley has infused his Knicks with a new personality, that of a physical, defensive-minded club that works as hard as any team in the NBA. They are receiving contributions from players that have surpassed reasonable expectations. John Stark signifies the positive direction in which the Knicks are headed. The team is competing as if it wants to play into the month of June, a basketball month that Riley is quite familiar with. At number 2 is the NBA's number 1 team and number 1 player. Michael Jordan led the Chicago Bulls to the franchise's first championship. While Jordan has played at a superstar level since his entrance into the league, the growth and maturity of players such as Scottie Pippen and Horace Grant were the ingredients necessary to secure the Bulls' ability to reach their next level. Credit coach Phil Jackson with succeeding in holding this emotional group together. The number 1 story for 1991 is, of course, Magic Johnson. After testing HIV positive, Magic announced the results to the world and called an end to his glorious basketball career. Immediately, the AIDS epidemic came to the forefront of attention in the public eye. Magic's new mission is that of educating the public on AIDS. It is a mission which he has undertaken with the same enthusiasm that he displayed every time he stepped onto the basketball court. Magic Johnson's story has transcended far beyond the game of basketball and is in fact one of the biggest stories of any kind in 1991. Here's hoping that next year and many years to follow are happy and healthy ones for Earvin Magic Johnson.
The Knicks led by 13 at the end of one quarter. Pacers crept to within 3, but now the Knicks have extended them once again, this time by a dozen here at the half. The leading scorer summary brought to you by your Tri-State Jeep and Eagle dealers. Advantage Jeep and Eagle. Xavier McDaniel with 1 hot hand, 7 of 10, 15 points, 7 rebounds. Greg Anthony starting in place of Mark Jackson, who along with wife Desiree are expecting a child today. Meanwhile, Indiana getting disappointing results from Reggie Miller, 2 of 7. Chuck Person, 3 of 7, have relied offensively on Michael Williams, whose 14 points leads the team on 5 of 7 shooting. Back with Walt Frazier here at the half. Clyde, Indiana's offense really seems mystifying at times. Bad shot selection, and I know some of this goes to the credit of the Knicks defense, and that has to focus a lot on Xavier McDaniel, who has been doing it at both ends of the floor.
Right, and Greg Anthony is a catalyst on the defense, applying pressure on the point. Did a nice job denying Williams early on, and as you said, the X-Man posting, toasting, spinning and winning along the baseline.
Well, foul trouble for Indiana's big men, Rick Smits and Greg Dreiling, will be part of the highlights, brought to you by Minolta, creators of the world's most responsive SLR cameras, the new Maxim XI series. With little Indiana help inside, Patrick Ewing has had some fun.
Yeah, he's asserting himself inside, not scoring much, but harassing penetrators. So that time Ewing right there, his bashing has the Knicks dashing. Starks, one of the best dashers on the Knicks, this time dealing it out to Cornette. Look at the knick-knack, and Anthony scoops to the hoop. So splendid play by the Knicks.
Ewing only with 6 points, in stark contrast to what the X-Man has been doing.
Yeah, there Williams that time missing a finger roll. Gerald in transition gets it to the middle. Again, Starks, the trigger man. Gerald missed, but the X-Man follows up with the extraordinary stuff.
So, Clyde, this game, as it stands right now, is it something that the Knicks should be happy about with the way they played, or should they be a little concerned at the lead that they gave away and had to regain?
Not really. They're only up by 12, and the Pacers have been dreadful. So I think Ewing has to assert himself more on the low post. He's been content to hang out on the perimeter, so the Knicks defense has to maintain their tenacity as well.
All right, Walt Frazier will rejoin us on the post-game report, but we've got a couple of quarters of basketball to play before then. Knicks leading the Indiana Pacers by the score of 58-46. A few numbers to talk about before we move into the second half. Let's talk about the Knicks shooting. Very much on target, while Indiana's, which has been hot of late, failing them in the first half.
Yes, the Knicks have turned it around after that sub 50% from the field the last 3 games.
And what they're not making from the floor, they're making from the free throw line. Not to be said for the Knicks. Rebounding favoring the Knicks by 7, 27-20. The leader in that category for the Knicks is Charles Oakley with 8.
McDaniel also with 7. What a solid half he had. 15 points, 7 rebounds, 4 assists for McDaniel as well.
On we go. Same starting 5 for the New York Knicks and for the Indiana Pacers. Michael Williams guarded by Greg Anthony. Dale Davis to the hoop. Smits failed on the tap. Anthony pulls up and is way off. Ewing's rebound attempt is knocked away by Smits. Michael Williams in traffic, fouled on the scoop. So it is Michael Williams at the guard position with Reggie Miller. Up front it is Chuck Person and Dale Davis. In the middle is Rick Smits. Patrick Ewing up front with Charles Oakley. And Xavier McDaniel, Greg Anthony with Gerald Wilkins at the guards.
Michael Williams, surprisingly, in the first half, had only 1 assist in 19 minutes of play.
Too busy scoring 14 points, John.
And his career high in the assist department was against the Knicks, as we mentioned earlier, with 18. That game in Indiana in mid-November.
Michael Williams now with 16. That is more than he averages on the season per an entire game. 15. McDaniel. All next. 17 points for the X-Man. Greg Anthony takes another shot to the face, and an offensive foul charged to Chuck Person. That is foul number 4.
Greg Anthony, like a prize fighter in this game, taking shots, although tough to see the facial contact on that person move.
Just underway in the third quarter. Knicks by 12. Gerald Wilkins makes it 14. A good-looking fall away from long distance. Rick Smits spinning on Ewing. Gets off the hook.
Smits was limited to 10 minutes of play in the first half because of the foul problems. He has 4.
And those were his first points of the game. Indiana tries to make a fast break happen, and Dale Davis is able to do just that. On the pass from Michael Williams, the Pacers within 10. 62-52, 10 on the 24. Gerald Wilkins for Charles Oakley. He's been hitting those shots in the game, although not taking many. John, how am I supposed to concentrate? I have Giorgio Armani on one side of me and Peter Falk
and Colombo on the other,
over my shoulder.
Without the raincoat.
It's just another day at the Garden. I really enjoyed your top 10, John, to be very honest. I think you're picking the voice there, Peter Falk, who just was dying to get on MSG. What did he say? I have to go make an arrest?
He said, I'm making an arrest. I've got to leave.
No trench coat, though. A little disappointing. Rick Smits blocked by Patrick Ewing. Out comes Gerald Wilkins for Greg Anthony. For McDaniel. Oh, he can't miss today.
He wanted the foul as well.
McDaniel with 19. Knicks once again by 12. 10 on the 24. This is where the Pacers offense is a total mystery. They seem to be clearing it out, but they're so slow in getting it to happen. 6 seconds on the 24 there. Legal defense charged against the Knicks. This will result in a technical foul. With the zigzag hairdo, Reggie Miller steps to the line. 18 for 18 are the Pacers. Now make it 19 for 19 on the game.
And that's 7 for Reggie Miller. 7 foul shots, that is.
By the way, no cigars on the Knick bench just yet. Mark Jackson and Desiree are still at Lenox Hill waiting, as are we for the word. And a tight play outside. Some of the Knicks officials that I spoke to, John, seem to hold out the thought that Mark might show up today. Here's Peter Falk. Why did he come over to visit us like that, John?
Bob Dishy with him as well. Well, Peter was working his way to his seat. I think he likes everyone to know he's here. He hasn't been here this year, actually. He was a regular.
I thought maybe he wanted to analyze a quick replay or something.
I'm sure he would if asked.
Anyway, the Knicks seem to hold out a thought that Mark would be able to show up today. Frankly, I didn't see him saying, Desiree, good job. I'll be back later. And that one falls.
Well, Chuck Person got macho on that offensive move. But he knocked down the defense on his way to the basket. Greg Anthony is taking some beating today. I must say, though, Al, Anthony has the ability to exaggerate the contact when the offensive man hits him and be successful at it as well.
So the shot does fall, but it is erased on the offensive foul call. That is 5 on Chuck Person, who has just had an awful day. 3 of 7, 8 points. Hasn't scored here in the quarter. And is 1 foul shy of being knocked out of the game, so Bob Hill pulls him with 8:40 to go in the third. Knicks around the perimeter looking for Oakley, who is being mugged by Dale Davis under the basket. Gerald Wilkins goes down the lane. I don't know whether Rick Smits blocked it or the rim blocked the shot. Bottom line is Reggie Miller's at the other end with an unbelievable reverse.
How did he make that shot?
Greg Anthony was all over it. 64-55, Pacers within 9. 10 on the 24. Ewing trying to set up for Smits, but the Knicks consistently not going to that option. Gerald Wilkins from long range.
Knicks making the Pacers pay with double teaming.
Wilkins with 8. It will be Indiana's ball.
Anthony got the attention. He gave the ball up to Wilkins, who makes the shot because he had that little extra time to shoot.
Reggie Miller for 3. Greg Anthony sees some room, goes right at Rick Smits and draws the foul.
Boy, he has a daring quality in him.
5 on Rick Smits.
And that quality paid off because he put Smits in deep foul trouble now. But Smits didn't discourage Anthony early enough. Had he put the hands up just to give Anthony a look at what was coming and how impossible it would be for him to succeed, Anthony would have dished off. But he waited too long. Smits waited too long.
So Sal Thompson replaces Rick Smits. Of course, all we had to do was sing the praises of Rick Smits' turnaround this year in the pregame Knicks game night, and that just about cinched it for him to have a terrible day, which is exactly what's happening.
I'm sure he has a lot of fans and friends here also from Marist College.
Yeah, a lot taking the drive from Poughkeepsie. Kenny Williams has checked into the game for the Indiana Pacers along with LaSalle Thompson, so a bit of a different look out there for Bob Hill's Pacers.
The Knicks remember Kenny Williams. He had a tremendous game against the Knicks in Indiana.
Greg Anthony over the top of the backboard, out of bounds. Well, this Indiana Pacers team really looks like they could use some leadership. They don't have a very cohesive look at all. Knicks lead them by 11. Kenny Williams pops out from the Reggie Miller pick. They clear it out for Miller to create something. What he creates is a rejection from Ewing, followed by Thompson. Ewing stops that and comes down with the rebound. Thompson's able to steal it and get another rebound. A wild sequence. Finally, Knick ball. Oakley, and it counts.
Nice move by Charles. He was patient.
Once again, a timeout on the floor. 6:27 to go in the third. Knicks by 13.
Time for our Toyota matchup of the big men. Right now, the big men on both teams are going in different directions. Rick Smits very frustrated with 14 minutes of play versus Ewing's 20. Ewing having a quiet game for him, but he's getting tremendous support.
Yeah, aside from Xavier McDaniel, John, who has 19 points to lead the team, it is a very balanced scoring attack for the Knicks. 8 for Oakley, the 6 for Ewing, you just mentioned, 11 for Anthony, 8 for Wilkins, 8 for Starks, 7 for Quinnett. Meanwhile, Rick Smits was 1 for 4, pulled down 4 rebounds, and scored 2 points. Charles Oakley at the free throw line. He's hitting 71% of his free throws on the year.
Rick Smits is now in his 4th season in the NBA, and despite what we have seen here today, he is a much improved player, averaging 18 a game.
Smits originally a number 2 pick back in 1988.
His best year was 2 years ago at 15 a game.
We have 6:15 to go in a somewhat slow-moving basketball game this afternoon at Madison Square Garden. Not the pace of the game itself, just the duration of time that it's taken for this game to move along. Lots of whistleblowing. Patrick Ewing is called on the offensive foul. That is the 4th foul on Ewing, so all the big men are piling him up. Substitution by the Knicks, and Pat Riley, Anthony Mason replaces Patrick Ewing, who very somberly walks to the bench. Michael Williams can't drive on Anthony. Pulls up and just misses a rebound by Oakley. Anthony finds Wilkins, who finds Anthony, who finds Oakley. Kenny Williams for Michael Williams. Oakley battling with Sal Thompson. They'll jump it up. Good hustle by Charles Oakley.
That's an awesome play by Oakley. How quick he is with his burly size to get to that ball on the floor.
Oakley on the verge of a double-double here this afternoon. 9 points, 10 rebounds. Perfect from the free throw line. 3 for 3.
Charles said at the very beginning of the season that he wanted to play a role of leadership for this team. And after that disappointing performance the other night by the team, Charles in many ways has demonstrated the leadership qualities for this team and how they're playing today.
Sal Thompson steals the tip. It'll be Nick Ball. Detlef Schrempf checks back into the game, replacing LaSalle Thompson, and he hears some boos from the crowd for his fight with Patrick Ewing earlier in the season. He has already exchanged words with Charles Oakley and Greg Anthony in this afternoon's game. Greg Anthony, who has delivered 10 assists, goes high and gets fouled on the shot with just a couple of ticks left on the 24-second.
Anthony, given the playing time, has answered well. He is very tough, showing no signs of fatigue from his extensive workout here today with Mark Jackson not present.
Another Nick free throw miss. Some trash talk in there at the whistle by both teams, and one of the officials said, let's go, knock it off. And of course, as we've come to expect from Detlef Schrempf, he was in the middle of it. At least we've come to expect it when the Pacers play the Knicks. Anthony 0 for 2 in this trip to the line. So with 5 minutes to go, the Knicks move up back on defense. Indiana Pacers have gotten 8 assists from their entire team. Greg Anthony has 10 of the Knicks' 22 assists. There's something that has not been happening very often in the game. Reggie Miller hitting a jumper. He's 4 for 11. He's got 7 points from the free throw line. It's almost half of his 15. Dale Davis, the outlet pass for Reggie Miller. That was an ugly pass down the middle. Anthony for Wilkins. Too hard. Followed by Oakley.
Charles thought he was being left out when the Knicks got the ball. He was alone, but they couldn't get it to him. But he hung around. He got what he deserved.
Miller for 3. That's off. He's 4 for 12. McDaniel. Slapped away by Schrempf. Wide open is Oakley. The bouncer for the X-Man. 21 for McDaniel.
But the pass is what made it. Oakley hit him perfectly with the bounce pass.
3:52 to go in the third. Knicks with the big lead.
For when you're having good times with friends, use good sense and drink responsibly, because friends know when to say when. Reminder from Budweiser. Well, the X-Man has been consistent in this game. Nice pass back to Oakley, who was open, and Oakley, always unselfish, hits Xavier, who gets his 10th field goal.
Now, if the Knicks were not 11 for 22 from the free throw line, we'd have a blowout here in the third quarter.
Looked like Oakley on the rejection.
McDaniel. He's having the kind of day where you expect him to get that roll. Schrempf at the other end. Oakley on the save. Outlet for McDaniel. And at this stage, the game is resembling a long stretch of the second quarter where the teams just raced back and forth. 10 on the 24. Oakley for McDaniel over Schrempf. day he's having. Xavier McDaniel now 23 points. He is 11 for 15. Kenny Williams.
Kenny Williams had 6 out of 8 in 19 minutes in Indiana. He razzle-dazzled the Knicks. Got a lot of speed.
McDaniel for Greg Anthony. 2.5 to go in the third. Greg Anthony all net. And a steal. Anthony high off the glass. No foul, and he's pretty ticked about it. Loose ball and a foul underneath. Charles Oakley very much involved with Vern Fleming. And Oakley is called for the foul. Third foul on Oakley. Third team foul on the Knicks, so Indiana will inbound with 2:08 to go in the third. Knicks leading by 18 points. Reggie Miller behind the back to Dale Davis, and it counts.
Nicely done. This team playing without their regular center now. Smith's in foul trouble all game. Reggie Miller with the absolutely perfect lead pass from behind the back.
Dale Davis, one of many draft picks to hold out into the season beyond training camp. He didn't sign until November 18th. He was the 13th pick, right behind Greg Anthony out of Clemson.
Yes, and he led the ACC in rebounding for 3 straight seasons. And that's the quality that he brings to this team and why he has started several games since joining the team late into the season.
John Starks has 10. Knicks lead it 81-64. Just over 90 seconds to go in the third. Kenny Williams. Reggie Miller has had a very tough time. Whoever the Knicks have had on him defensively, it's been bothering him all game. Greg Anthony almost runs into Xavier McDaniel. Looks inside for Mason. Tough pass. Tremp lofts it for Vern Fleming. He goes right at Charles Oakley and draws the offensive foul. Oakley does.
I think the official, Wally Rooney, had a bad angle on that because he seemed to pull up at the end of that move. But I could be wrong now.
Oakley sitting down, and what a game he's had. 4 of 7, quiet offensive, but very much involved in every loose ball play. Active on defense. 11 points, 12 rebounds. Starks has Quinnett, who has checked into the game, and he drives instead of pulling up for the jumper, which is the expected.
Done that 3 times tonight.
That's his first, the team's first in place, 2 minutes.
Michael Williams back in for Indiana. Reggie Miller checks out. Quinnett in the first half came off the bench, drilled a 3-pointer practically before he had his warm-up off. Finished with 7 at the half, now has 8.
Amazing. In 5 minutes of play, he had 7 at the half with 3 rebounds and an assist.
Knicks continue to be a 50% shooting team from the free throw line. They are 12 of 24. Michael Williams continues to be an offensive spark for Indiana. Anthony, stutter steps, beautifully done.
Oh, if you're Bob Hill, the Pacers coach, you've got to be real unhappy about a play like that. Anthony just went right to the hoop, and no one made a move at him.
Greg Anthony has played a very solid game. 15 points, 6 of 11. And we'll check on the assist total for Anthony. Last time we checked, it was at 10. Starks from Mason.
You can't say enough about the quality that Mason showed on that play. Particular skill. He also commits a foul now as Williams trips him up. But he was able to rip that rebound down and then exhibit what forwards try and do, but not everybody has the ability to do. Take another look at it. He breaks out of the pack, successfully handling the ball like a guard, very confidently, and doing the right things with the ball as well.
Boy, that play developed quickly. 8.6 to go. The Knicks are ending this third quarter the same way they ended the second. Quick fast break points, catching the Pacers in the transition, and now they have extended their lead to 20. And you can see that the Knicks would be enjoying a much larger advantage were they not as unsuccessful as they have been from the line. That is the first Indiana Pacer miss. The MSG jinx very much alive. So the Pacers are 21 of 22. They'll have to practice their free throws. Anthony Mason misses from in close, and that'll do it for the third. With 1/4 of basketball to go in Madison Square Garden, the Knicks have a 19-point cushion over Indiana. This was the scene back in 1989 when Greg Dreiling and Patrick Ewing went at it. This is one of 3 major altercations that Ewing has had when the Knicks have taken on the Indiana Pacers. And this one almost included Charles Oakley. Now back to 1985 preseason basketball. Steve Stepanovich hugs Patrick Ewing to the floor.
Not a love hug either.
No. Lots to think about when the Knicks take on the Indiana Pacers, and Patrick Ewing getting some time on the bench. 4 fouls, very quiet game, 6 points. Brian Quinnett in for the Knicks, has the ball stripped. Trent, broken up by Greg Anthony.
Anybody who's played this game has spent a lot of time in practice defending on 2-on-1 situations, and Anthony did that perfectly. 2-on-1 always favors the 2, and it's so difficult to stop that, what Anthony did with his alertness and quickness.
Just underway in the fourth quarter. Knicks 86, Pacers 67. Vern Fleming for Detlef Schrempf, guarded by Brian Quinnett. Schrempf with a rainbow, pulled down by Anthony Mason, who quickly scoops for Greg Anthony.
Oh, Anthony missed him. Mason ran the court so well and was open at the other end.
Xavier McDaniel, who has been the offensive standout for the Knicks here today, lofts it for Starks. 8 on the 24. Starks looks for help, out for Anthony. 4 on the 24. McDaniel for 3. And it will go out of bounds and become Indiana's ball. One thing we noticed in looking back at all those videos, John, was the ever-changing look of the uniforms of Indiana. They seem to have finally settled on a rather snappy-looking Florence Griffith Joyner designed uniform look. And Greg Anthony screams at himself and throws it out of bounds. Last minute or so, the Knicks have been very sloppy here at the start of the fourth quarter. They have a 19-point lead to play with Indiana. Schrempf fouled by Quinnett on the drive. Patrick Ewing checks back into the game, as does Chuck Person.
Overall, I think Bob Hill has to be most unhappy about the team's shot selection. The Pacers seem to be taking shots from every angle whenever they can get them up, as opposed to being thought out, well-selected shots that most benefit the team. They're not showing or exhibiting patience.
Xavier McDaniel sits for the Knicks, and Greg Dreiling leads for Indiana. Detlef Schrempf knocks them both in. And semi-pressure applied by Indiana. Greg Anthony gets some Anthony Mason help, and the Knicks finally get it across. Mason travels as he attempts to drive, and this sluggish start to the quarter continues for the Knicks. 86-69. Ewing let Schrempf go right past him. 86-71.
Ewing is such a competitor and has such confidence, but he gets burned when he tries to guard people way out from the basket.
Plenty of time for Indiana to make it happen, especially with the offensive ability that this team has. Ewing. Brian Cornett. Ewing follows. Jumps for Cornett. The reverse underneath. Finally falls.
So impressed with Ewing's patience and not trying to outdo Schrempf, who was guarding him as Vern Fleming strikes quickly. Ewing kept looking for the open people and found Cornett.
Knicks by 15. And mastered by Michael Williams. Mason. Mason did a good job of adjusting his flow. He caught the ball on the left side of his body and immediately shifted it to the right. By that time, the defender was leaning the wrong way, and that's how he created the opening to get to the hoop. So with 9:29 to go, Anthony Mason will step to the free throw line. 3 points on the game, 5 rebounds. He's 1 for 2 from the floor and 1 for 2 from the free throw line. There's 1 for 3. A very busy day of sports here on MSG. We've got the Knicks here with the Pacers. This afternoon at 5 o'clock from the Nassau Coliseum, it's the Rangers and the Islanders. And then tonight at 9, it is the championship game of the ECAC Holiday Festival, St. John's and Memphis State. Detlef Schrempf for 3. Indiana is trying to make something happen. It is a 13-point Knicks lead. It was once 20. Pressure defense by Indiana, 10 on the 24. Knicks have really struggled to get off a good shot here in the fourth quarter. Anthony draws a double team. Throws up that shot inside the lane. And with 4 seconds left on the 24-second clock, he gives the Knicks a 15-point lead again.
That's an example of what patience can bring you. Good shots.
Vern Fleming,
Unlike the Pacers.
pulled down by Ewing. Cornett wide open. Back of the rim again. Same spot, same result from three-point range. Chuck Person. It's become a downtown contest. And a timeout on the floor. Pat Riley can't like the way things have turned in this fourth quarter. 8:20 to go. Knicks by 15.
Starting forwards for the Knicks have delivered 34 points to the Pacers 13. The real Dutch boy from Eindhoven, Holland, Rick Smits, has 5 personal fouls, and that has really affected their in the paint game. The only real Dutch boy in the NBA. Eindhoven, Holland.
One
home of Rick Smits.
One sponsor very happy today. 8:10 to go in the fourth quarter, and it continues this problem-plagued fourth quarter for the Knicks. Detlef Schrempf grabs it, goes up against Ewing, who says, "I don't think so." But Patrick is called for the foul. That is his 5th.
No looks either on that rather physical foul from Ewing to Schrempf. Schrempf outreaches John Starks, and Ewing answers the call, I must say, on that, and tries to shut down Schrempf. But Schrempf is a very big person, 6'10" tall, and he jumps very well, and he succeeded in drawing that foul.
He's been guarding Patrick Ewing, and Patrick has been unable to take advantage of his size advantage. 5 personal fouls for Ewing, and the Pacers continue to be impressive at the line. They are 25 for 26. The press forces another turnover as Greg Anthony launches it to the scorer's table. It is 91-78. 7:57 to go in the fourth. Xavier McDaniel back up with the warm-ups off. Detlef Schrempf drops it in. It's 91-80.
Well, that shows you what a bad matchup it is, with Schrempf being able to dribble around Ewing so easily.
Anthony Mason dribbles to the corner, outside for Anthony. Intercepted by Schrempf.
Ewing did not go to the ball. He went back.
Chuck Person for 3. It is 91-83. three. Indiana is within 8 on a 17-5 run. A full collapse here underway. The Knicks try to figure out how to stop it.
Make most of a matchup favoring your man. Schrempf at 6'10" can move, and he moves around Patrick Ewing, and he's done it several times. At the other end, Ewing will not come out to the ball. He'll back in, trying to keep Schrempf behind him, unsuccessfully, however. And Schrempf went out and stole that ball, and Person, at a very key moment, lands the bomb, bringing the Pacers to within 8.
The Knicks, who had 6 turnovers at the half, have committed 6 turnovers this quarter already. The Pacers none. The Knicks now with 16 on the game. Tonight, the MSG Sports Desk will provide its usual weekend half-hour edition. Lots to talk about. NFL playoffs, ECAC Holiday Festival, NBA hoops, NHL, you name it, they'll have it right here on MSG. Well, the Knicks need a hoop. John Starks, McDaniel wide open off the bench. He still has the touch. 93-83, Knicks by 10. Not long ago, it was 20. There was a 19-point lead at the end of 3. Detlef Schrempf has really given the Pacers a lift. He has 19. That ball out of bounds. It will be long to Indiana.
He's been in double figures in points and rebounds off the bench for the last 3 games.
This after a very slow start. 20-second timeout is called by Indiana with 6:50 to go in the 4th. Knicks with a 10-point lead. Well, Pat Riley, who showed tremendous displeasure back in the first half with the way the Knicks allowed Indiana back in, seems a little bit more reserved. This program, authorized by Madison Square Garden Productions Incorporated, solely for the entertainment of our audience, and any publication, rebroadcast, or other use of the pictures, descriptions, and accounts of this event without the express written consent of MSG Productions Incorporated is prohibited. In front of the 5th sellout of the year and the 2nd straight for the Knicks, 19,763. The Knicks are trying to hold on to this one. Reggie Miller from well beyond the 3-point stripe, and Patrick Ewing going way above the rim.
One of the rare rebounds above the rim that you will see. All rebounding for the most part is done beneath the rim.
Greg Anthony with a Pacers sandwich. He squeezes out of it. Starks on the move. Bounces for Ewing, who is fouled.
Great awareness by Starks, seeing Ewing and getting him that ball.
Greg Anthony, by the way, has eclipsed his career bests with 17 points, besting his 13-point total, and 11 assists, beating his 8-assist total. That as a result of all the minutes that he's gotten, starting in place of Mark Jackson, who's with his wife Desiree today. Still no word on the birth of their child at Lenox Hill Hospital in New York today. Loose ball inside. I guess we do have word, actually, don't we? Howie Singer reminds me we do have word. It hasn't happened yet, so it's true.
Leave it to the electronic wizard, Al.
Indiana very much in thinking 3-pointers these days, and Chuck Person, who's playing with 5 fouls and really has had a bad shooting day, makes it 93-86. The difference has been Indiana's defense, which has really been pesty. Ewing trying to set the pick, works to get free. The fall away way short.
Knicks have lost their momentum offensively.
Schrempf, good look. Bert Fleming banks it in.
And defensively.
93-88.
No panic timeout by Pat Riley.
Garden fans turn the sound level up a notch. 5 on the 24. Way outside, a bad shot, and the follow inside results in a loose ball foul against the Knicks.
Greg Anthony did not show patience in getting Ewing the basketball. Patrick was annoyed at that as well. He had position on Schrempf, but Anthony passed him up.
John, I think you're very correct in you're talking about the annoyance of Patrick Ewing. Greg Anthony tried to talk to Patrick after that play, and Patrick just stormed right on by him. Another three-point attempt. Indiana seems determined to make it back into this one with the three-pointers. It has helped them here in the fourth.
Trent wants to go by Ewing. He's setting himself up so he can take Patrick.
John Starks is called on the foul.
This is an interesting situation how the Pacers have made the an advantage out of the Shrimp-Ewing matchup. Normally the reflex would be bad matchup for the Pacers, but it's worked the other way. His mobility is something the Knicks are having a problem with.
Person guarded extremely close by Xavier McDaniel. Michael Williams followed by Trent and gets the roll over Ewing. It is 93-90. A 24-7 run by Indiana. A shocking turn here at the Garden.
Interesting, no timeouts by the Knicks under this pressure.
4 minutes to go.
They only have 2 left.
Ewing back outside for Anthony. Fumbles the pass. Starts for three. And Ewing sails up into the seats trying to save it. He gives it to Indiana. They can come within one. Knicks get a break. There are some angry-looking faces in white uniforms out there. McDaniel is screaming at Greg Anthony. Ewing a moment ago wouldn't talk to him. I don't think right now that the Knicks are thrilled with the way the show is being run. Wilkins back for Anthony. At the expiration of the 24-second clock, it's off. Miller draws the foul.
What the Knicks are failing to do is to recognize Patrick Ewing's importance to this team. Very simply, they're not getting him the ball.
Patrick Ewing is very angry as he walks to the bench. 3:10 to go. Knicks lead is down to 3. 19 at the end of 3, as many as 20. Their lead is down to 3 here in a fourth quarter that has been all Indiana. Patrick Ewing not involved in the offense at all. He's taken only 8 shots and scored 6 points. There, Greg Anthony looked like he may have had him, John. But
well, the big left hand of Ewing was there, and Shrimp was on the other side of Ewing. But when there's a doubt, you've got to get the ball to this guy. When you think you can, you got to get it to him, and they're not getting enough out of him.
Patrick Ewing is now joined with Greg Anthony across the free throw lane and seems to have a very angry look on his face as he does it. He was very angry as he went to the timeout. And when Greg Anthony, who was really getting a bit of a fire test here today, walked and tried to explain why he didn't get him the ball on the play that we just watched, Patrick Ewing just walked on by.
A rare miss by Reggie Miller from the foul line.
The Knicks lead is down to 2. Anthony for Ewing way outside. Dead left Shrimp overplaying Patrick. Wilkins forces it in, and Ewing on the miss.
That's okay. He's got to get into it.
And now a foul as the play moved up the floor. It'll be against the Knicks. Patrick Ewing is called on the foul. That is it. He is fouled out of the game.
This season, Patrick Ewing has fouled out of a game, which brings great frustration. But how about those 6 points as well? So it's going to go deeper than the fact that he fouled out as far as how Patrick feels his visit to the Garden worked out today.
3 for 9. That's 3 for 9 shots. The game is tied. The Knicks have blown a 19-point lead to start the fourth quarter with 2:42 to go.
Knicks have to show the poise and leadership that they haven't.
Oakley is fouled.
haven't seen this all game. The team coming together at the foul line and communicating with one another.
I'll say one other thing, John. Xavier McDaniel has been very vocal in terms of voicing his opinions on the floor. Think of leadership on a team. He seems to want to be very much involved in the direction this team is going to take in the last 2.5 minutes.
Oakley has only been to the line coming in today 31 times in 25 games. Shooting at 71%.
Oakley 1 for 2. 2 minutes, 30 seconds to go. Knicks with the slimmest of leads. Trying to prevent now suddenly a 2-game losing streak at the Garden. Detlef Schrempf, who has really done it for Indiana. Feeds Vern Fleming, who finds the lane going baseline.
Lovely pass from Schrempf, and the Pacers are up by 1.
Oh, the Knicks, I think, got a bit of a break. They call the blocking foul on Person. That'll knock him out of the game. Gerald Wilkins came across half court, got a pass at a very bad time, and it was a bit of a calamity that goes the Knicks' way. So Person fouls out as Indiana leads for the first time in the game. The Knicks are down by 1 as we approach 2 minutes to go in the fourth. Bob Hill very animated on the sidelines. Indiana has really turned it on defensively. Wilkins on a big shot for the Knicks. They lead it once again by 1. 1:50 to go. The familiar Garden chant, and the Knicks need the defense. Michael Williams fakes Anthony, and an offensive foul.
Oh, what a great angle. We had that out from where we sit. Very slick move by Williams as he drove by Anthony and sucked that hip into him. You'll see it now. Good look on the replay.
This is a very important trip up the floor now for the New York Knicks. John Starks guarded by Reggie Miller. Wilkins quickly double team. Knicks force it around to the other side. McDaniel triple team and foul from behind. So McDaniel will go to the line. He has been 1 for 3 from the free throw line, and one of the Knick problems from there today.
The Pacers double teaming in their aggressiveness, forcing the Knicks to pass the ball quickly, and they did a good job on sequence.
Detlef Schrempf called on the foul, his third.
With double teaming, you must keep passing the ball until that double team backs up on the defense and someone is left open.
He hits the first to give the Knicks a 2-point lead. The Knicks now just barely better than a 50% team from the free throw line. 15 of 29. What a day McDaniel has had. 26 points, looking at 27. Knicks by 3, and Indiana's going to want to set things up for the last minute and 25. What looked to be a blowout is now anything but. A drought of 6 minutes and 23 seconds without scoring. And their fourth quarter shooting an abysmal 31%. This after a first half number. At halftime they shot 52%. 52%. The timeout story looks like this with 1:25 to go. With Indiana calling this timeout. They now have 2 full. The Knicks with 2 full in 1:20.
Pacers are certainly playing them close this week. They had a 3-point loss to Philadelphia on Thursday, and the prior 2 games were overtime games. They beat the Nets and they lost to the Miami Heat. They're used to pressure of late.
It will be interesting to hear Pat Riley's post-game media conference, as has become our custom on the post-game report. I also am going to be interested to hear from Patrick Ewing, Greg Anthony, about what happened in this fourth quarter. My K will be searching out tomorrow's quotes today. Dead left Trent. Backing in on McDaniel, and the Pacers clear it out for him. He goes to the hook and delivers. 98-86, 68 seconds to go.
Knicks failed to double team to make him give that ball up on that play.
How about Indiana clearing it out for Schrempf and not Reggie Miller, usually their go-to guy. Greg Anthony, a lot of dribbling, out for Starks. 10 on the 24. 50 in the game. Wilkins with 5 on the 24, throws it away. Starks with the block. It will be Indiana ball, but what a play and a recovery by John Starks. He saved the Knick lead.
Magnificent play. Knicks pressure. Wilkins throws it away to Senal. Williams is so fast. He's so quick. And yet he doesn't get it done because of Starks.
The Knicks are doing a lot of talking still to Greg Anthony. We'll be back for the 42.3 seconds left. The Knicks have been outscored in this fourth quarter 30-12. They began the quarter with a 19-point lead. The Pacers did at one point have the lead. The Knicks now lead by 1. There's the timeout story, and I say the Knicks lead by 1 with some tremendous heroics.
Under pressure, Gerald Wilkins coughs it up. This man leads the NBA in steals, and he got a beauty, but John Starks came out of the sky to deny that move by Williams without committing a foul and protect that 1-point lead that the Knicks have.
I want to say that Greg Anthony is hearing it from all angles. His teammates have been very vocal in what I perceive to be displeasure at the way this team is being run today.
Well, I think they're telling him what they'd rather see him do on occasion. And Greg is a leadership person, and he's willing to step out and take chances. And he's also going to be willing to hear it from his teammates. And he is. He handles it well. He's full of confidence.
I mean, the show was good enough to build up a 20-point lead. Reggie Miller, 15 on the 24. Goes up with the one-hander. It's good. It is a 99-98 Pacer lead with 30.4 seconds to go. Another timeout at the Garden. Indiana, amazingly, in front. So they move on. The Pacers are in front of the Knicks. 30.4 seconds to go. We mentioned Reggie Miller, their go-to guy. That's who they went to. There's a timeout story. One full apiece. Knicks with a 20.
Reggie Miller, so tough to guard one-on-one. He is 6'7", and he gets off an unorthodox running one-hander. Swish gave them a 1-point lead. No Chuck Person for the Pacers, no Patrick Ewing for the Knicks. Both out with fouls.
Tough inbound for Xavier McDaniel. Indiana's very tight defense, and he quickly goes to the timeout. There you caught a glimpse of what has really helped Indiana turn it around. Their defense, John, is like a different team in this fourth quarter compared to the previous 3. And 30.4 seconds to go. The Pacers leading 99-98.
Knicks had 58 points at the half. So it has been quite a turnaround. 40 points for the Knicks in the second half.
Well, how many has it been in the fourth quarter here so far?
58.
It's only 12 in the fourth quarter, I believe. 12 points in the fourth quarter, says Dave Freed. He's my right-hand man who sits on my left. So a tough one for Pat Riley. We talked about the continuation of bad habits. This fourth quarter is not going to put a good taste in anybody's mouth, as far as the Knicks are concerned. McDaniel for Starks. He drives into a double team, looks outside. Pacers, no matter what the Knicks do, will probably get another shot.
Trying to get it to McDaniel.
15 on the 24. Patrick Ewing is fouled out, by the way. 10 on the 24. Anthony looks for McDaniel and throws it away on the steal. 10 seconds to go, and a foul stops the clock with 8.4 seconds to go. This is going, if it turns out the way it looks right now, to be a horrendous defeat to take.
No question about it. Pat Riley not giving up, however. Encouraging his team now with the odds all against the Knicks.
The Knicks are hoping for Indiana to be ineffective at the free throw line, and it's just not the case today. They're 29 of 31 as a team. Michael Williams gives them a 2-point lead. The Knicks will have a shot and some time to work with. 8.4 seconds to go. Timeout for the Knicks, and the Indiana Pacers are jubilant,
as they should be,
with the turnaround that they have created. It started out as a 19-point deficit. It's now a 3-point lead. That's a 22-point turnaround here in the fourth quarter.
I think they're looking at the biggest win of the season, certainly the most meaningful to this team. And what's also emerging here, Al, is the importance of Mark Jackson. Not to demean Greg Anthony's efforts today. Anthony has played a very solid game, but he has been asked to handle this thing the whole way, and that has been too much for him. The Knicks with no timeouts right now.
I think when you talk to Greg Anthony when this season is over, and you say everyone says a rookie year is full of learning experiences, what was one of the important ones for you, Greg? He's going to point to this day.
You may want to squash it, though. I don't think he'll remember it too much somehow. But he did have a good game. I mean, he's done a lot of fine things. But he got a shot that he didn't ask for at the end of that last foul.
Yeah, the last couple of trips up the floor, Gerald Wilkins threw one ball away. Greg Anthony threw that one away. The Knicks now need a 3-point field goal to tie it. They've been 2 for 9 on the day. It'll be interesting to see what lineup Pat Riley sends onto the floor.
Well, very simply put, it's got to be Starks. He's 4 for 61 among the league leaders in 3-point shooting. Closest guy is Xavier McDaniel. He's made 9.
I think you put Quinnett in there too, as is the case. Brian Quinnett will go.
Yes, Quinnett's made 8 this season, 50%, 8 out of 16,
and 1 today. Quinnett is 1 for 4 on the day beyond the stripe. 8.4 seconds to go. Anthony for Gerald Wilkins. Bobbles the ball. Starts. Gets the fake. And he hits it. John has tied it up.
And he gets punished by Xavier McDaniel. Even Giorgio Armani is smiling now to our left.
The sellout crowd did not expect this one to be this tight. John Starks, who has been one of the most important Knicks, comes up with this most important shot.
How about the fake, though? The fake invariably throws you off balance. Good patience by the Knicks, too. They massage that clock. Anthony, Wilkins, then the fake. And then he still has the poise and presence to make that most dramatic shot.
And all the fans here watching it on the replay. Xavier McDaniel, when he gets into a game, boy, if you hit a big shot, look out.
Stay away from him, right?
Mark Jackson about 10 days ago did the same thing in a game, and McDaniel was all over him. So there'll be no more timeouts in this one. There'll be 1.6 seconds to go for Indiana with the game tied.
Which is time enough to win a game.
Especially when you have Reggie Miller on your team. Reggie Miller, one of the best long-range shooters in this league. 1.6 seconds to go. Miller hits 38% of his three-pointers. Chuck Person does too, but he has fouled out and is on the bench. Detlef Schrempf, not bad from distance. 30% three-pointers. And I'm talking three-pointers because I think it's going to be a distant shot with 1.6 seconds to go, but the Knicks have to be careful underneath.
Craig Elo hit one the other day with 0.9 to go, 0.9 seconds to beat Utah. It can be done.
Wilkins does not play up on
Reggie Miller's the guy.
George McLeod. He does not play up on George McLeod for the inbound. He sloughs off. McLeod looking for somebody. Finds Miller, spins and fires. Almost tipped by Kenny Williams. But we're going to overtime. overtime, and Bob Hill may not look happy, but he's got to be thrilled at the way the Pacers have turned this from a blowout into a day of learning for Greg Anthony and the Knicks. Took a dramatic shot for the Knicks. Being outscored 34-15, it set up this last-second effort.
Xavier McDaniel trying to set a pick there. Starks gets free enough to get the ball. Then he had to fake to get rid of his man and makes the shot that results in overtime. I can only think back to when the Knicks made a decision to drop Trent Tucker. The reason being they wanted Starks to continue his development. Now Starks rewards the Knicks for that faith, certainly with the kind of shooting that Trent Tucker brought to the Knicks.
Knicks won their only overtime game of the season, a double OT victory over Atlanta. This is the third Indiana overtime game of the year. They've split 1-1.
Al, they're third in their last 4 games. They have been playing overtimes, as we mentioned earlier, this week.
Mason up front with Xavier McDaniel and Charles Oakley. Anthony and Starks. And John Starks launches one up that is followed by Oakley, but he couldn't contain the ball. Vern Fleming dances on McDaniel. He comes up short. Schrempf and Mason battle for the rebounds. Both teams with a cold start in the overtime. Still tied at 101. Anthony for McDaniel. Ewing is on the bench, having fouled out. And McDaniel. 29 points and a hot game from start to finish.
Big matchup favoring the Knicks. Vern Fleming at 6'5" on McDaniel.
Fans very much into it. A sellout at the Garden today.
I think the Knicks have found the right matchup with Mason on Trent. Mason has the quickness.
Michael Williams played very well defensively by Greg Anthony. Was forced to change his mind. The Knicks. They lead it by 2 with 3:20 to go. Michael Williams all over Anthony. One of the great stealers in the league. The best. Starks goes right at Trent. And a whistle. Pacers looking for the offensive. It will not be that way.
Now Trent going at it verbally. Trent knows how expensive outbursts can become. Shows no interest in continuing the conversation.
John, is it Trent or is it the Knicks? What's with this guy? To go. There's a timeout on the floor to allow some of the guys to cool off a bit. Knicks by 2. 3 quarters today. Everything looked great for the New York Knicks. Seem to be well on their way to erasing the bad thoughts of Thursday's blowout by San Antonio. Then came the 4th quarter. Then came a 34-15 run by Indiana. Tight defense. They hit their shots. Knicks with many mistakes. And now we're in overtime. 3:08 to go. Knicks by 2. And only here because of John Starks' desperate 3-point shot with Pacers all over him with 1.6 seconds to go.
The last drive by John Starks. He's met by Schrempf, who puts the arms up in the direction of Starks. He tried not to commit the foul. Foul came his way. He complained, and Oakley and he did some joying. In the overtime, each team now gets 3 timeouts.
Patrick Ewing fouled out in the 4th quarter in the first meeting between these two teams. The Knicks didn't have him for the better part of 3 quarters because of his fight with Detlef Schrempf. So it seems as though Patrick's just not meant to finish out these Pacer Knick games. Starks gives the 101 lead. And now a 105-101 lead. 2 for Starks, 2 for McDaniel in the overtime. Pacers yet to score. 3 minutes to go. Reggie Miller gets a nice Detlef Schrempf pick. Goes all the way in, then has to dish it out. What a fake by Michael Williams. Pacers still 0 for overtime.
Big rebound by Mason. As I said, Al, I think they've got the matchup right now with Mason on Schrempf. Schrempf's gotten quiet.
Mason. Driving on Kenny Williams, back for Anthony. He backs out. 5 on the 24. 3 on the 24. Starks to be a hero again. Before the shot, a foul was called.
There's a great youthful crowd here today during the holiday season.
Lots of kids.
And they are really into it.
Knicks with a fresh 24. Deflected out by Michael Williams. You see the Pacers 0 for 4 in the overtime. Knicks 105, Pacers 101. 2:25 to go. Anthony got pushed over midcourt. That was almost a dangerous pass. Had Mason delivered that ball to Anthony, he would have carried him right over the line. And the referees would have had to decide what to do then. Anthony all the way, and it rolls.
Tremendous drive around a very quick player in Michael Williams.
2 minutes to go and a timeout on the floor. It is the Knicks by 6. Time for them to smile again. There's the important number story. 2 minutes to go in overtime. The Knicks leading the Indiana Pacers 107-101. Pacers yet to score in the extra session.
The importance of staying positive mentally is best reflected by the play of Greg Anthony today. He's had some very bright moments and he's had some low moments, but he stays positive, this guy. He's been that way since he became a Knick, and he's accumulated some very big numbers today. 19 points, 13 assists, and he has carried the Knicks' load at point guard in the absence of soon-to-be-announced father, Mark Jackson.
Greg Anthony, 19 points, 13 assists, both career bests. Indiana will have the ball with an even 2 minutes to go. The Pacers taking that timeout at the 2-minute mark have but one left. Vern Fleming for Reggie Miller. He wanted to take the 3. Instead it goes to Schrempf. Tries to draw the foul, does, but can't hit the shot.
Again, we point to the job this guy has done, Anthony Mason has done on Schrempf. He cannot drive around him. This is what Mason took away from Schrempf because he's so quick.
Next one, line.
Detlef Schrempf goes to the free throw line. The free throw line being one of the better parts of today's game for Indiana. They've hit 30 of 32. And what a bad time for that high a percentage to fall out of their favor. Pacers still have not scored in overtime. That is their first point of overtime. It comes after 3 minutes and 10 seconds of play. Double team, almost stolen. Miller called for a foul. That is the first in the last 2 minutes against Indiana, so the Knicks will inbound. And Greg Anthony being pressured. Looks up for Mason. McDaniel was wide open at the far end of the floor, but that was a tough pass to get. Starks, drives on Miller, wants the ball, drops it in!
Boy, he smells basket, doesn't he?
109-102. John Starks is having himself a great finish to this one. Big rebound by Anthony Mason. Starks with 14 points. McDaniel wants the ball. He's wide open. And a foul as he goes to the lane. 1 minute, 8 seconds to go. Knicks by 7. We've played 3 minutes and 52 seconds of overtime basketball, and Indiana has not put a shot in except from the free throw line.
McDaniel ever present on the offensive end today. Big game for him.
110-102. points for Xavier McDaniel. .108 to go. The Knicks lead it by 9, and Indiana takes their final timeout in overtime. We'll be back for the finish here on MSG. Explode in overtime, making their last 7 free throws. That was something they weren't able to do for most of the game. Getting some important shots from Xavier McDaniel, Greg Anthony, and John Starks, and holding Indiana for 3 minutes and 52 seconds without a field goal. 111-102. It was tied at 101 at the end of regulation. John Starks is thinking those 3 words, John. 4 words. Give me the ball.
It's amazing now. He makes a hoop out of this. He dribbles into a situation where there's 3 paces around him, and he has such determination and drive. And he's going left also, away from his more comfortable right hand.
There you see the totals 10-1. And Indiana's long drought. Well, it really hurts when you put in the effort that the Pacers did in the 4th quarter and you don't get the payback. A 9-point Knick lead. Reggie Miller. One thing the Pacers can do, especially with Reggie, is come back quickly, but
that's his second. Pacers are over the limit.
Well, foul will send this back to the other end with some free throws that can extend the Knick lead. Dick Carter, assistant to Pat Riley. Former head coach at Charlotte, of course. Mason misses the first.
Dick Carter, very important to the Knicks' defensive play this season. He's an expert in that department.
Knicks looking to improve their home record to 12-1. This is really a win that should have an asterisk next to it to explain something.
A wild shot by Vern Fleming.
Seconds ticking down, another whistle and a foul. We were originally scheduled to be on until 4 o'clock. At that time, Nobody Beats the Wiz Jets Journal was supposed to come on, but then the Pacers decided to outscore the Knicks 34-15 in the 4th. John Starks decided to hit a 3-pointer that tied the game with 1.6 seconds to go. And we've decided to push Nobody Beats the Wiz Jets Journal back to 4:30 so that we can be with you with our full post-game report coverage.
Al, will you be wearing gloves during Jets Journal as you did in the prior Jets Journal?
Yes, it's still cold out. Detlef Schrempf off the mark is Reggie Miller. He's had a very off-target day. 5 of 18 was Miller. McDaniel fouled up around the head by Michael Williams. 34.5 to go. This one's all but officially over. 113-104. The Knicks looking to improve their record to 18-8. Indiana looking at a record of 12-17 should they lose. Kiki Vandeweghe did not see action. Patrick Eddy did not. Brian Quinnett had an impact in the first half. Patrick Ewing fouled out. Gerald Wilkins not very much involved down the stretch.
Patrick Ewing appreciates his teammates' help, but you know he would like to have been more of a part of the success in this one.
McDaniel finally hits a free throw. That brings the total free throws down to the Knicks 23 of 40, John. .23 of 40. Trent traveled. 28.5 to go. Knicks by 10. Well, the Knicks look like they'll win this by a fair margin, which is what they should have done in the first place. The Evian Natural Spring Water Player of the Game today was Xavier McDaniel. He was there from start to finish for the Knicks offensively. 32 points, 12 rebounds, and 13 for 18. Xavier McDaniel.
Thanks to the dramatic play, however, of John Starks, the Knicks are where they are right now. John has established that as a regular part of his act. Second half play, and he did it again today.
You know, it's really wild about sports. Here's a guy who hits a shot. It's a pretty wild shot. 1.6 seconds to go. The odds of him hitting it are about, I don't know, 30%, something like that. If he doesn't hit it, the Pacers win. Now you get to overtime, and they're not even involved. The Knicks just blow them right out of the water. It's so strange how the fortunes turn like that.
And the Knicks have been doing it without a key player in Patrick Ewing, more so than Person. Person is, of course, a very important player to Indiana, 18-point-a-game scorer, but the Knicks miss more than the Pacers do when the Knicks miss Ewing.
For Detlef Schrempf, 28 important points. He was a big part of their fourth comeback. Charles Oakley looks across the floor. Time ticking down on the game clock. And that will do it. As the buzzer sounds, the Knicks escape. John Starks saves the day, and the Knicks are 12-1 at Madison Square Garden. They defeat the Indiana Pacers today by the final score of 115 to 106. We'll be on with you till 4:30. We'll check in on Pat Riley's coaches conference. Michael Kay will be busy. So will John Andres. Walt Frazier will have highlights, leading scorers, and more. For so long, it seemed the Knicks would cruise to victory here today. Not so. They almost fully collapse in the fourth quarter and then hold on and explode in overtime. 115-106. But there would have been no overtime were it not for John Starks. With the seconds ticking down and the Knicks down by 3, Gerald Wilkins found Starks, who put on an enormous fake and then, still with a hand in his, delivered the three-pointer that tied the game with 1.6 seconds to go. Watch it again and watch the defenders swarming around him. The hand will be there in his face when he shoots. It's good. The game was tied. Knicks went into overtime and virtually shut down Indiana. Watch what happens if you hit a big shot if you're on the Knicks. Xavier McDaniel comes over and beats the heck out of you. John Starks, just a continuation of this season, which has really pointed him as one of the most important Knicks coming off the bench today. And the Knicks needed some help from their bench. Mark Jackson and his wife Desiree are waiting the birth of their child today. As a result, Greg Anthony started the game, saw enormous minutes, and he played a career-best game, 20 points, 13 assists. But the Knicks needed help from other players off the bench, and they got it. From John Starks, he had 20 points again and really saved all those points for big ones down the stretch in the fourth and in the overtime. And even Brian Quinnett had 10 points off the bench for the Knicks, and quite seems that Brian Quinnett has become what Kiki Vandeweghe was supposed to be. All this talk about points and who shot how many leads us to the Jeep and Eagle scoring summary, brought to you by your Tri-State Jeep and Eagle dealers, Advantage Jeep and Eagle. Xavier McDaniel had the touch throughout the entire game. He finished 13 of 18 from the floor, pulled down 13 rebounds, completely shut down Chuck Person defensively in the first half, and finished with 32 points. He was outstanding today. John Starks, 20 points, the three-pointer that sent the game into overtime, 7 of 12. Greg Anthony, career-high numbers. He had 13 assists to go with the 20 points. Charles Oakley, a solid day, a double-double, 12 points, 13 rebounds. Brian Quinnett, 10 points, 3 of 7, 1 three-pointer right off the bench back in the first half. Gerald Wilkins, not involved down the stretch, but did add 10. He finished 5 of 16 from the floor. For the Indiana Pacers, Detlef Schrempf was a big part of their 34 Comeback fourth quarter. He finished with 28 points, got involved in some verbal battles with 3 members of the Knicks, but did not come to blows with anyone, thank goodness. Michael Williams had 21 points. Usually he's a big assist man. Today he was the point man for Indiana. Reggie Miller never got untracked. He got 8 of his 18 points from the free throw line, shot 5 of 18 from the floor, and delivered 4 points less than his average. Chuck Person fouled out 14, and Vern Fleming provided 10 off the bench. This was a totally wild game. You know, there was so much talk about Thursday's defeat, 29 points to the San Antonio Spurs, being an aberration for the Knicks, and the Knicks truly have to want to believe that to recreate the feeling of winning here at Madison Square Garden. And for 3 quarters today, that is exactly what happened. They had a big lead back in the second quarter. Pacers inched to within 3. Knicks shut the door, finished the first half with a flurry, and had a 12-point lead. At the end of 3 quarters, they led by 19. They could do no wrong, and this with not even involved. The final totals on Patrick: he fouls out 6 points and shoots 3 of 9. And then suddenly in the fourth quarter, the Knicks had their wheels come off. Now, part of the intrigue of this fourth quarter was Greg Anthony. In all the minutes today, he was very much involved in conversations with Patrick Ewing, who was not happy, I believe, at what I saw on the floor, at the way the show was being run by Anthony. McDaniel had something to say, so did Gerald Wilkins, and it'll be interesting to hear what Greg Anthony says as far as his summation of this game today. Definitely a few lessons to be learned out there for the rookie point guard. A reminder, we'll be with you to 4:30 now. We're waiting for Pat Riley to emerge from the Knicks dressing room. When we're done here on our post-game coverage, I'll join Dave Jennings as the Jets look forward to the Houston Oilers. Jets really with nothing to lose, and they had that sort of freewheeling attitude in camp this week. Nobody beats the Wiz. Jets Journal will be coming up at the conclusion of our post-game coverage at 4:30 here on MSG. Now, the one thing that really killed the Knicks was the turnovers in the fourth quarter, and all this was brought on by the tight defense that the Indiana Pacers displayed. Now, Bob Hill, who was the one-time Knicks coach, looked lost for so much of this game. Then in the fourth quarter, something was said, something happened, and the Pacers played a defense like they haven't played for at least what the numbers show this season. The Knicks then responded by missing shots. They were unable to find Patrick Ewing. That was a large part of Patrick's complaint, I believe, with Greg Anthony. And Indiana outscores the Knicks 34-15 in the fourth quarter. And then, as if the 90 seconds between the fourth and overtime was another buffer, another change, the Knicks were able to shut down Indiana in the overtime, and for most of the overtime, the Pacers were not able to score a field goal. One of the things that nagged the Knicks throughout the game was their free throw shooting. How's this for a total number today? From the line, the Knicks were 24 of 42. If they had hit just a few more of those, this game certainly would have been different in hindsight. Indiana Pacers were sent to the line by the officials today for 36 opportunities, of which they made 33. So the game started out well for the Knicks, continued well for the Knicks, and ended up very well for the Knicks. But John Stark sent it into overtime with 1.6 seconds to go. The media crush has assembled. This is what awaits Pat Riley each and every game. He has arrived. Let's hear what he says.
To win, and happy to win, but you know, really did not sustain the game and had major breakdowns that we need work with, but I'll take it. Thank you, John Starks. Yeah. Any questions?
What were you thinking when he took the shot?
Well, the fact that he got so wide open, I was just tickled to death, you know, that we had that opportunity. And Jeff Van Gundy's been working on his shot fake, so that came off a shot.
Rudd tries to penetrate, cannot. Bounce past Eaton, he had to go.